Good evening and welcome to Discovery Zone.
Tonight we go live to Venice to get the inside story on Marco Polo's adventures to Cathay in Central Asia. And for the first time ever, you get to hear about his new book, Sir Marco Polo. Now we go to Marco. Good evening, Marco.
Good evening, Phil.
Marco, can you tell the viewers a little about yourself and how you became so popular?
Well, I am an Italian trader and traveler. I guess you could say I became famous for my travels in Central Asia and Cathay. I also wrote a book that gave some Europeans the earliest information about Cathay.
When you were a young boy and your mother died, and you had to go live with your aunt and uncle, where was your father at this time?
My father, Marco Polo, was traveling with my uncle, Marco Polo. They had left on a trading mission shortly before my birth.
When exactly did your father and uncle return to Venice?
About 1269.
Was the reason why your father and uncle came back to Venice to take you on their next voyage?
Well, they came home telling tales of wonders and incredible riches, so then I just had to go with them.
Did you guys have some kind of a sponsor?
We really didn't need a sponsor.
Why is that?
When my father and uncle first went to Cathay, they had met the Mongol ruler Kublai Khan. He liked them so much, he gave them ivory, jade, jewels, silk, and other treasures. All these treasures Kublai Khan gave them paid for our travels.
I have heard a lot of good things about the book you wrote. Can you tell us a little about it?
The name of it is Sir Marco Polo. It tells about my life travels of my father and uncle and I. It gives some information about Cathay and my time in prison, and etc.
We'll talk about your time in prison a little bit later. Now, I understand you had a little bit of help writing this book. Can you tell us who it was and how they helped you write this book?
Yes, his name was Rusticolo. He is from Pisa. I would tell him stories about my life and he would write them down.
And you can get the book in any local store. Now let's talk about your journey to Cathay. Can you tell us what route you took to get there?
We sailed from Venice to Accra. That's a port in Palestine. Then we all rode camels to the Persian port of Hormuz. And we continued by camel across the desert and mountains of Asia. Then we finally reached Cathay.
Did you have any problems during the voyage to Cathay?
Well, we wanted to sail to Cathay from Hormuz, but the ships available there did not seem seaworthy. So I suggested that we went the rest of the way by camel.
How long did it take you to reach Cathay?
It took about 3 years, so I would have been 21.
While you were in Cathay, you and Khan developed a good relationship. Can you tell us a little about that relationship?
Khan awarded me with his Attendance of Honor. For 14 years I served him by taking care of important government affairs, and the last 3 years I served Khan by being the governor in the large city of Yangzhou.
During the 17 years you were serving Khan, what was your father and uncle doing?
They were military advisors, Phil.
Why would you guys want to go back to Venice if you had all these nice jobs and were given all these nice treasures?
We loved it in Cathay, and I didn't want to leave, but we feared for our lives.
Why is that?
We feared that jealous men would try and kill us after Khan's death, but Khan would not let us leave because we were his most loyal workers.
How did you convince him that you had to leave?
A friend of Khan, Argam, wanted to have a Mongol princess as a bride, so we convinced Khan that the princess would need to be guarded.
Tell us about that experience.
Since there was danger from robbers and enemies of Khan, we decided to take a route mostly over land and some over sea.
Did Khan provide you with anything to help protect the princess?
Khan built a great fleet of ships and had sent 600 noblemen with us.
Was it a nice, smooth voyage for you guys?
No, the voyage was delayed several months due to weather.
Did the princess end up okay and married?
Well, yes and no. The princess was okay and did end up getting married. But she didn't marry Argon because he died before we arrived. Instead, she married his son.
But after being gone for 24 years, you finally reached home?
Yes, Phil. Yes, I did.
And then in 1298, you served as a gentleman captain of a veteran ship. While you were in battle against the Genoese, you were defeated and taken prisoner by their troops. I'm going to ask you a question that is on everyone's mind. How did you get caught?
Well,
It seems we have lost connection with Marco, so we'll just tell you Marco served a year in prison, then got married and had 3 daughters. Tune in next week, where we will interview the Queen of England. Have a cup of tea, maybe even a crumpet or two. I'm Phillip Norris from Discovery Zone.